And welcome back, everyone, to episode 23 of the Sports Coverage Podcast. My name is Andrew, and I'm alongside my co host, Vince. The NFL season has ended. We have, unfortunately, a ton of coach firings and departures or mutually agreed, absences or whatever. And also, the national championship happened last week. We have transfers going on. Rookie of the Year race in the NBA is getting tight. And, of course, MLB offseason going strong. So we got a lot to talk about this week, especially in the NFL as the postseason has started. So let's hop right into it with the head coach firings and departures. Starting off with longtime Seahawks coach Pete Carroll is leaving his position as head coach of the Seahawks and moving into an advisory position. I think some people kind of didn't see this coming. Some people did. He's not leaving the Seahawks organization he's been with for a long time, but he's moving into an advisory position. Vince, first of all, is this something that you think Pete Carroll said that he didn't necessarily fully want this to happen, but do you think that this is the right move for the Seahawks, like kind of moving on to a new face, or do you think they should just kept Pete Carroll in his position?
I mean, he's getting old, and I think we can all realize that. And know when you're getting old and you've been in the league for so long in the industry of coaching for such a long time, it's time for a break. And I feel like he deserves to relax. I mean, he's been coaching this league for so many years, and even in college football, he's been coaching for so long. So I think he deserves his break. I mean, I didn't see this coming at all, but I mean, he was obviously one of the greatest coaches of all time, and we can definitely argue about that at another time. But for my argument, I think that he is one of the best. But yeah, again, this is kind of a weird firing, or not really a firing, but like a position, like stepping down. But yeah,
Yeah, I definitely agree. And they said it was like a mutual agreement of stepping down, but he didn't seem like he really wanted it to happen so soon.
yeah.
So, second mutual agreement of departure, I guess. Bill Belichick and the Pats have agreed to mutually part ways, and this is one that we saw coming and talked about a while ago and potential landing spots for him. So, Bill Belichick, obviously, probably the best coach of all time, and he was with Brady for all those years, and now he's moving on to, I don't think retirement. He's looking for jobs out there, and we said the Chargers, we said the Commanders are now looking for a coach. We'll get to that in a little bit. Who do you think, Vince?
Look, I said this when we were talking about Bill Belichick just a couple weeks ago about where he would end up going after leaving this Patriots team. And honestly, I think he will end up retiring. He's had such a legacy of a career. He's had one of the best careers for a coach of all time. I mean, he just came up short of having one of the most wins as a coach in NFL history, but I don't think he's going to get there. I think he's getting
Yeah,
old. I think he wants to retire. He wants to relax. And it's not even that bad of a choice. He's been in this league for so long and the industry of coaching for decades. So I think just stopping, just ending it now is the right move.
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I think that he still kind of got a little more passion, maybe sign a 2-year contract with the team, ride it out, and we'll see what happens. But I think he just wants to have a competitive team again because honestly, I think it's more that he's just getting bored
Well,
of being with the
if
Patriots.
if he wants to have a competitive team and have somewhat of a shot, I feel like the Chargers would be a good team for him, even
The
if he
best
was
option,
to come
the best
back.
option of the teams that have fired their coaches is definitely the Chargers.
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure. I mean, they didn't look good at all this year, but they definitely have some good key players that I think Belichick can definitely build around and develop very well, even though he would be there for
Yeah,
a short amount of time. But yeah,
yeah. I think Herbert and Belichick. I feel like
would
they would
be
have
a
a
deadly.
good
That would be
connection.
a good duo. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But immediately after Belichick left the Pats, they hired uh, Jared Mayo as their new coach. He was in the organization for a while. He was a linebacker in the NFL. This is not the signing some people saw coming, but he is definitely a good option for to be the next head coach of the Pats. And I think that he is someone that has the passion to rebuild this team. So, Vince, what are your thoughts?
Look, I don't know how I'd like this move. I understand that he knows the organization well. He got drafted by this franchise. He played for this franchise, won a Super Bowl with this franchise. He's been coaching for this franchise for a couple years now, and he knows this franchise well. He knows the organization well. He knows how to run the system. Look, I think that Mike Vrabel would have been a better hiring just because he is one of the best coaches in the National Football League, even though he got fired. I mean, take a look at what he's been doing for so long. And he played for the Pats. He knows this organization well, and it would have just been the right fit. So I don't personally like this, but I think Vrabel would have been a better option.
Yeah, definitely. But speaking of Vrabel, the Titans have fired head coach Mike Vrabel after an interesting season. We'll put it that way. And I don't know. I don't know how much I agree with this move, but I think the Titans are just looking to move on. Because I mean, and if you remember last year with the Titans, they walked into the season like projected to win their division, to make it pretty deep in the playoffs. Like they were supposed to be good, and that did not happen. This is the second year that it did not work out the way they wanted it to. So interesting move, and I hope Mike Vrabel gets a good new landing spot. The Commanders, this is another one that everyone saw coming. The Commanders fired head coach Ron Rivera after a terrible season that, yeah, just bad. And I mean, he had a terrible team to work with. They're playing in the worst stadium in the NFL, and they are, yeah, they're just bad all around. Ron Rivera, first to go. And yeah, I feel like he could have gotten a chance if they draft a quarterback early in the draft, which I think that they definitely will. And I would have liked to see Ron Rivera, what he would do with a quarterback like that, but we'll see where he lands instead. What about you?
Now, look, Ron Rivera has not been the same coach ever since he was coaching Cam Newton and that 2015, Carolina Panthers team. He has not been the same coach since then. He really has not looked good at all. And I honestly like this move from the Commanders. I think they did the right thing by firing, Ron Rivera. He had, a tough loss last year with his mom passing away. But look, I think that he is not going to be good. He won't be a good coach in the NFL for long. He deserved to get fired. He court like his coordination of calling plays and stuff is not good. He just
Oh, definitely.
look, he's not the same. He's not the same as what he once was making the Super Bowl, and I think that the Commanders need to hire someone new.
Yeah, definitely. Immediately following an embarrassing game against the Saints, in which there was a little bit of an altercation after the game, the Falcons fired head coach Arthur Smith. And this one, I think a lot of people also saw coming. He was given resources, options for quarterbacks. I mean, none of them amazing. He had one of the best draft picks of the year, Bijan Robinson, and this team, per usual, went nowhere. So that's why he got fired. And yeah, I guess we'll see. Um, yeah, go ahead.
Now, look, Arthur Smith, foolish. At the end of the game, I don't know if you want to talk about that, but look,
Yeah, we could talk about it.
Jamal Williams ended up scoring on that one of the last plays of the game, and Arthur Smith came onto the field furious, at the opposing head coach. Sorry, I don't know his name. Complete random. But look, Arthur Smith had no right. I mean, he had the right to get mad, but not
Dennis
in that
Allen.
type of way. Yeah, Dennis Allen. But
That's
look, I don't
yeah.
think I don't think Arthur Smith had the right to get that mad. I mean, I get it. You knew you were getting fired. You knew you're letting all your emotions out. You're getting you're heated. You're mad. But there was no right. He had no right to do that whatsoever.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And it's just something like, and first of all, the coach had nothing to do with it. It was the players wanting to get him a touchdown at the end of the season, and which I think is a nice move. And I think that the Falcons just need to own up to the fact that this was not their season, and especially Arthur Smith needs to own up to the fact that he was terrible this year. Their team was bad, but he has no right to be going and like just messing like yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
completely agree with you. Bad move, and I think that he deserves the firing because it was really a bad year. Um, the Raiders are in the process of finding a new head coach after the firing midseason, but interim coach Antonio Pierce, who became a fan favorite and team favorite, remains the front runner to be hired as the new Raiders head coach, and I think that he should. And the Raiders are kind of in hot water now because basically Max Crosby said, if you guys don't hire Antonio Pierce, I'm leaving. So uh, hopefully they do because he is definitely their best player. Vince, do you think Antonio Pierce is right to be the Raiders head coach?
Look, I like his fire. I like his energy. I really think he is, an NFL coach. I think he has, the power to be, up there with one of the best coaches in the league. I know he just started being, a head coach this year, but I really liked what he did with this Raiders team. He ended up blowing out the Chargers 63-21 and historic game, actually. I mean, crazy, crazy, game. I mean, his defensive coordinating, how he runs his defense is very, very well. And
Oh
that's
yeah,
what I like about Antonio Pierce. He played in the NFL with the Giants. And look, I think the Giants, could sign him as their defensive coordinator if they decided to. But I don't know. That's for another time. But look, I
oh
think
yeah,
Antonio Pierce definitely should deserve another spot.
yeah,
Another hiring. He should get hired
yeah.
by a team.
Yeah. But speaking of the Giants defensive coordinator, I just want to touch on this. We don't have it like in our notes, but
Yeah, yeah.
Wink Martindale, our defensive coordinator, has decided to mutually part ways with the team after an interesting up and down season with Brian Dable and some altercations going on there. Wink, love you, man, in your sleeveless sweatshirts, but good luck. And yeah, we'll see what happens with him, and hopefully we get a good guy. But if we hire Antonio Pierce as our defensive coordinator, I will be so happy. Don't think it's gonna happen because I think he deserves to be at the Raiders. But yeah. So moving on to the NFL playoffs. Yeah, all of that was coaches. Those are all the coaches who unfortunately have been let go from their teams or moved around to different positions. But the first playoff game of the year was a bad one for Joe Flacco and the Browns as they got blown out by leading offensive rookie of the year candidate CJ Stroud and the Texans 45-14. Joe Flacco looked like he was not who he was this entire season, we see interceptions. The Browns defense fell apart, and CJ Stroud is looking like just
My God.
yeah, that was insane.
Look,
Prime college CJ Stroud right there.
Yeah, look, Joe Flacco really did not look good yesterday. I mean, we take a look at what he did. Those picks that he threw were very, very foolish. I mean, he could have avoided those two picks easily if he would have just thrown the ball out of bounds. But no, he decided to take his long shots because that's what he does. I mean, that's the type of, that's his role. That's how he plays as a player in the National Football League. But, CJ Stroud, man, is he looking good, baby.
Yeah,
Listen, he's winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. I don't care what anyone says.
yeah.
The
I at
ball
this
out.
point,
Look, I don't care about Puka anymore. CJ Stroud is really having a phenomenal year already, and if he could end up beating the Chiefs, I don't know. We don't know yet, but if they can end up beating the Chiefs or one of the best, the Bills or the Ravens or whoever they're playing, we could definitely see a good run
yeah,
to the Super Bowl if it's possible. But again, they don't have Tank Dell, so it could be a little hard.
yeah. I like how last week we're talking Puka should be. I mean, he by the way, Puka broke both the
Oh
records
yeah.
we were talking about. So that's
And they were both. Well, one of them was held by Jalen Waddle, so I'm kind of sad.
yeah, you didn't realize that when you were hyping him up last week, did you?
No.
Yeah, but we Puka is a very very special player. He, I think both these guys deserve the award. Like just completely.
Yeah,
Like these are yeah
yeah, for sure.
yeah, and I don't know how much tighter next year's offensive rookie of the year race is going to be because
Oh, it's definitely
you
gonna it's
have
definitely gonna be
it's
hard.
gonna be it's gonna
There's
be
so many quarterbacks that are
yeah wide receiver
declaring. So it depends.
you got multiple wide receivers. It's gonna be crazy. Excited to see what happens there. Um, Unfortunately, the second game that happened yesterday, the Dolphins lose to the Chiefs 26-7 in one of the coldest NFL games ever. Tua, cold does not mix, which ended their strong season and their playoff push. This was, I mean, I'll just talk first as the non-Dolphins fan here. This was rough to watch. I think for both teams, you have the icicles falling off of Andy Reid's mustache, but things did not go the Dolphins' way with penalties and challenges and all that kind of stuff. And it all came down to Tua and the offense not playing the way that Tua and the offense played this entire year. And of course, big factor of that is that it was negative 15 degrees in the stadium and the ball was frozen. But I still don't think that that's an excuse because you see Isaiah Pacheco, you see Patrick Mahomes with a broken helmet just playing their best football. So yeah, tough game. But Vince, what do you think?
Look, I think Arrowhead is obviously one of the hardest, places to play in the National Football League, especially when it's cold and it's playoff season. But man, what a what a horrible, horrendous loss by this Dolphins team. I mean, we really were looking to have a good push in this postseason, but it just ended like last year in the first round in a cold, icy, somewhat game of snowing, and we just can't win in big games. And I'm honestly gonna say we can't. I want to listen to the critics. We can't. Tua. When I went to the Bills game last week, and I was watching that last drive. We got the ball back with maybe a minute left with like no timeouts. Tua, it's all hit. The ball was put in his hands. He was to lead this team to promise and victory in this game, and he threw it away just like he did last night against the Chiefs. So, look, just a really bad loss for this Dolphins team, and I don't know if we can bring back some of these guys. But look, I think honestly, let's just touch on this real quick. The Dolphins were missing so many of the starters on defense. I mean, they were
Yeah,
missing Chase Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Javon Holland, Xavier Howard, many guys, which if we had, I think we could have won. This Chiefs team did not look strong at all this year. I know
yeah.
we lost to them earlier in the year in Germany, but again, anything is possible. And I think if we would have had our starters, maybe it would have been a different outcome. But again, this Dolphins team has not looked
Yeah,
good at all the last couple of weeks, especially against the Bills and the Chiefs. So we just
yeah.
need a different turnaround, a different coming next season.
Yeah, and just the one thing I want to say is this entire season, the Dolphins only beat one team above 500, and that was the Cowboys on Christmas Eve. That's saying, like, first of all, that's saying they had a fairly easy schedule. I mean, it wasn't easy because they lost to all these other teams above 500, but it's just showing these big
No,
games.
yeah, I
Right.
get you. I
Yeah.
mean, they had 11 wins, and most of their wins came from bad teams, which, you know, I will say that this Dolphins team is, our team, like our key players, like, like notable key players, they're really well. This team is very, very good. But the problem is Tua cannot play under pressure. And that's the problem with this team. That's why we can't win. It's all because of Tua. If we can get another quarterback or someone that can actually push us to victory and promise, we have ourselves Super Bowl champions.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So we're gonna make some picks on the last four wildcard games going on this weekend. Two of them today as of filming on Sunday, and two of them tomorrow when this is posted. The Packers are facing the Cowboys today in an NFC wildcard matchup. This is also a little bit of an interesting game. So I think that the Cowboys they have their history with the playoffs, and the Packers have Jordan Love, who's been playing great this season. What do you think, Vince?
Look, I think that the Cowboys are going to win in this game. I think that the Packers are good, but not as good. And the Cowboys have just looked like the better team this whole season. So give me the Cowboys in this game.
Interesting. Uh, I'm gonna unfortunately probably have to also go with the Cowboys. If you're looking at this statistically and the way that both these teams have played, I think it has to be the Cowboys, unfortunately. But I don't know. Jordan Love, let's see what you got in the postseason. And yeah, we'll see. In a game that will feature the return of Stafford to Detroit and Goff going up against his old team, the Lions will be facing the Rams at home in an NFL wildcard game. The Lions have not hosted a playoff game since 1992. This is the return. That stadium is going to be crazy. Vince, who do you think?
Look, I think this could go down as one of the best games in playoff history. I mean, this is the return from Stafford. He's beloved by this city. He's beloved by the organization, beloved by the franchise. Look, I really think that the Rams can come out and win this game. I know it's shocking. I know it's kind of surprising. But look, the Lions ended up doing something really bad last week. They decided to play some of their starters, and Sam Laporta ended up getting hurt, which is one of the best key players for
Yeah,
them, one of the best role players for that team. And look, he's out for we don't know officially, but I think he won't play. So if he doesn't play, I think the Rams have a better shot.
yeah, I don't think he's going to be playing. but oh, actually, apparently he is quote unquote trending towards playing. So
Oh, okay. All right.
we'll
Well,
see
no.
what.
Still, I like the underdog in this. I still like the underdog in this game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the opposite. I'm gonna go with the Lions because I think that Jared Goff and Amon Ra, their connection at home is very good, and I think that against a Rams defense, I think that they're going to be able to play very well. So I got
Yeah.
the Lions, and you got the Rams. So we'll see. Um, the day this episode comes out, the Steelers and the Bills will be pitted up against each other in a game that was postponed until Monday due to the blizzard up north in Buffalo. So I feel like this one's more of an obvious choice than the last two because, well, first of all, the entire Steelers team is injured, and second of all,
Yeah,
the Bills are the
and
Bills.
TJ Watt
So
isn't playing yet, so I
yeah,
think give me the Bills in this game. This is an
yeah,
easy win
give
for
me
the
the Bills.
Bills.
All right, yeah,
Look, they looked really strong against the Dolphins, man. When I was watching them play, they looked really really well.
yeah. Josh Allen
They
looked
ran
like
well.
yeah.
Well, Josh Allen looked like a complete dog. He did not play well at all. He was overthrowing his
Really?
receivers. Listen, that one he had that one throw to Stephon Diggs, which was actually a hell of a ball, but Stephon Diggs ended up burning Jalen Ramsey, and he had him gone. But
Yeah.
you know,
I just think that he's been more of a smart playmaker. He's been scrambling a bit more, and I think
oh
that he's
yeah,
been able to
no,
pick up those
his
extra
his
yards.
running ability was amazing, and so
Yeah.
was Dalvin Cook's brother. What's his name? I forgot.
James Cook.
Yeah, James Cook. Yo, he
James
looked
Cook. Yeah.
phenomenal. He is going to be one of the best running backs in the league. He's
Yeah.
going to be better than his brother one day for sure.
Yeah. The last wild card game is the Eagles will take on the Bucks tonight at when this episode comes out. Um and the Eagles will be without AJ Brown and potentially Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, DeAndre Swift, Blankenship, and Darius Slay. So that's what we have to say about that.
I think this is an obvious pick. Look. I think that the Bucks can't win this game. I know if some of these guys do end up playing, it could be a win for the Eagles. But the Bucks look like the stronger team, and Baker Mayfield is the dog.
Yeah.
So give me the Bucks in this game.
I'm going to take the Bucks too. If even one of these extra guys that are out that are questionable right now, like if it's either Hurts, because first of all, if Devontae Smith goes down, they're down their top two receivers. If Hurts goes down, they don't have a quarterback. If Swift goes down, I guess their backup running back situation is fine, but they forgot that Swift existed for half the season anyway. And if Slay goes down, their defense is at least their secondary is not going to be great. So even if one of these guys goes down, the Bucks' chance rise by like 25% to win this game. I'm taking the Bucks. So moving on to the NCAA, the Michigan Wolverines have won the national championship after beating Washington 34-13. We were both a little wrong here, and I think that our or at least my anger towards Michigan got in the way of my picks last week. This is this is not great for this Washington team and Michael Penix.
Listen, Andrew. I think we should have just taken a look at their defense. Their defense is well coordinated. They're well ran. I mean, Kalen DeBoer is a great head coach, but look, this defense for the Washington Huskies is not good at all. They were letting the backup running back Donovan Edwards run through their offense running through their defense like crazy. I mean, Michigan looked like the more dominant team this whole game. Michael Penix, I still think, is one of the best quarterbacks in college football. He will
definitely
be a top 10 pick in this year's draft. There's no doubt about it.
Well, he was also playing through injury the entire game.
Yeah, I mean, he got hit in the ribs. So, I don't blame him. But, a good win.
You could
for
see him.
Michigan
He was wearing like foam padding for the entire fourth quarter.
Yeah,
if he got hit one more time, he's done.
Yeah, so but he did say after, like, he wanted to go out there and play for his teammates. He wasn't gonna leave the field just because he was hurt. I mean, and that's the kind of guy NFL teams are looking for in a player, and that's why I think he will be a top 10 in this year's draft because of how his mentality is. But look, again, he couldn't lead Washington to a promising victory against Jim Harbaugh on this Michigan team. So, look. I really think Jim Harbaugh is one of the greatest coaches in the National Football League and in college football, and we'll see where his future goes. But I think he will stay on Michigan Wolverine.
Yeah, we'll see. Speaking of head coaches, longtime Alabama head coach and the GOAT of college football coaching, Nick Saban has decided to hang up the headset and clipboard and retire from coaching the Alabama Crimson Tide and college football. This kind of came out of nowhere. You sent it to me, and I thought it was fake because I thought he had another year or two, but he said that this was the right time for him to retire. And, we've already lost two 5-star commits, I think, couple 4 stars. We'll talk about Isaiah Bond in a second, but good for him, and he did so much for the Alabama Crimson Tide, and I wish him well in retirement. But it came out.
Yeah, listen. I was very shocked with this news. I mean, he is the greatest coach in college football history. There's no doubt about it. We can debate about it another time, but he is one of the best coaches ever. And it's sad to see a guy like this go because he was so promising throughout his career, and to end up retiring just because after losing a Rose Bowl game too. I mean, at least it was pretty historic of a game that he walked off. But it's kind of hard transitioning from this, and I feel bad for you as an Alabama fan. You have to walk away from such a he's been as long as you've been alive since like 2009 or whatever. Nick Saban has been a part of that organization for that long. I mean, you've been an Alabama fan for that long. Nick Saban has been with that organization for that long, so it's a hard transition, but I think they'll get over it because they hired a new guy. So
yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. And we've hired former Washington head coach Kalen DeBoer as Nick Saban's replacement. He was ready to go. He saw that the opening at Alabama happened. He said, bye-bye, Washington. And here he is. So, first of all, welcome. And second of all, I think that this is the best possible replacement for Nick Saban, at least at this time. And, I think that they need to get a new coach done as soon as possible because we are losing guys left and right. And I think that Kalen DeBoer is ready to step up and be the coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide in the SEC. So
I mean, there's no one else other than Kalen DeBoer that could have came in and taken over this job. So I think this is great. He's he built his legacy the last 2 years at Washington, and he's going to be such a good head coach replacing Saban.
Yeah, definitely. So and of course, like I was saying, a couple guys were leaving. Former Alabama wide receiver Isaiah Bond has transferred and committed to Texas. Great. All right, moving on to the NBA. Ja Morant will miss the remainder of the season due to a tear in his right shoulder, which he had surgery on. So that's kind of a little upsetting there, but we'll see how he recovers, and hopefully he recovers well. Kawhi Leonard signs a 3-year, $152 million contract extension with the Clippers. I don't know. What do you think about this contract?
Look, the Clippers are doing really well, and I like this. Even though Kawhi Leonard is getting old, he's getting paid, baby. And I think just because he's getting paid now, the Clippers are going to do even better, baby. And I can't wait to see what they have going. So
yeah,
I think listen. I know that I said that the Clippers would be fakers, but look, they're having such a good run right now, and they've lost such a short amount of time. So yeah, I think the Clippers are going to be good.
Yeah. Also, real quick, they announced in 2026 that the All-Star Game will be held at the new Clippers stadium or arena, so that's going to be fun. The head coach of Miami, Erik Spoelstra, has been extended with an 8-year, $120 million contract. One, good for him, and two, that is a long time and a lot of money. So hopefully he stays good and this Heat team stays good. I guess that's what I have to say about this. Moving on to the MLB, we have a couple things to talk about here. A couple deals made. Marcus Stroman agrees to a 2-year, $37 million deal with the New York Yankees. He was kind of our pivot guy, backup after Yamamoto, and I don't know, he wanted to be here, so we'll let it happen, I guess. And I think we got a good deal on him. Soto gets the largest arbitration eligible contract in history at $31 million for next year. And hopefully he earns those $31 million, and I think he will. So good luck to him in pinstripes. Giants signed flamethrower reliever Jordan Hicks to a 4-year, $44 million contract, and the Giants are really making moves out there. They've made some good signings. First trade I want to ask you about, Dylan Cease of the Chicago White Sox. The White Sox are looking for a trade for him. Dylan Cease does not want to be there. Do you think that there's a front runner that might be able to grab him?
No, I can't really say a certain team, but it depends. I mean, he's a really good pitcher, but I don't know. Wait, to you, who do you think? I mean, who do you think is?
So, I mean, Dylan Cease is a very good starter. Like I said, he does not want to be with the White Sox. And, you know, you're looking at teams who always want starting pitchers. You're looking at the Mets, Red Sox, Braves are always in the mix, Dodgers, of course. And I
Hey,
mean,
honestly, wait. Look, the Braves could be definitely a good destination for him.
yeah, yeah. And I think we're just looking at guys that have guys to trade as well. Yankees again. And I think that he's going to be our backup. Like these big trades, I don't think we want to make another blockbuster trade with Dylan Cease or Shane Bieber, who is another starting pitcher that's looking to be traded. So I think that these guys might be a good backup for the Yankees, for the Red Sox, those kinds of things. But it's going to all depend on how much the White Sox are going to ask because they have a lot of positions to replace this offseason.
Yeah.
So the Yankees have offered Snell a contract, but reports say that Snell either wanted more money or an extra year on the contract, which the Yankees have not gone up to yet. And meanwhile, the Mets and Red Sox have both said that they are in talks with Blake Snell as well. So interesting.
Hey, listen. I like Marcus Stroman better, baby. I think
Yeah.
he just has the swagger. I think Marcus Stroman is just going to be a better player, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. He did have like a pretty bad ERA last year, and he got
Yeah.
hurt, which is always a problem with the Yankees. But we'll
Sure.
see. I still like the signing. I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm excited to see. He's a good middle of the rotation guy for us.
Yeah.
Moving on to the fast fact, the Buffalo Bills are paying fans or anyone willing $20 an hour to help shovel snow out of Highmark Stadium before the game on Monday night due to the blizzard. But just quick update, they have asked fans not to travel to the stadium during the traffic ban and the stay at home because they're trying to avoid accidents and stuff like that. So I assume they'll announce soon when they're going to want fans to start showing up so that they can pay these guys. But good luck to the Buffalo Bills, and I'm excited to see what happens with the game tomorrow night. So that's pretty much going to do it for episode 23 of the Sports Coverage Podcast. My name is Andrew, and I'm alongside my co-host Vince. As always, we'll have clips, announcement posts, and stuff for you on the Instagram. We have audio only on Spotify. And of course, subscribe and like the video here on YouTube. Thank you, everyone, so much for listening, and we will see you next week.